got Phil Perry with us here at Gillette Stadium. Day after a game, Phil Perry. How you doing, bud?
I love being here with you guys a day after a game.
That's great.
Two shows in a row for me with you.
Yeah,
what a
T-Bone
treat
said,
for
hey,
me.
you want
Kidding?
Phil tomorrow? I say, absolutely.
Let's
Great.
go.
Let's get him in.
Game like that one, how could you not be fired up to talk about it?
All right, well, jump right in. Tell us your thoughts on Bailey Zappi and if he was better or worse than Mac Jones.
Well, overall, I mean, offensively, somehow it's gotten worse. Somehow, some way. Yards per play, worse than it was against the Giants, worse than it was against the Colts. Yards per pass, you factor in the lost yardage to the sacks, worse than it was in those two previous games, which were horrid. Success rate, worse than it was the previous 2 weeks. Believe it or not, statistically, in a number of different areas, it's gotten worse. Now, that said, and I listened to Zoe on the broadcast, and so I think I know how he feels about this comparison, Mac versus Zappi. What I would say is, in the second half specifically, I thought that was an improvement at the quarterback position.
Starting to come on in the second half.
Over what we've seen lately, right?
Yeah.
Mac Jones threw for 300 yards and almost beat the Eagles in week 1. It wasn't that good, but it was better than Mac Jones against the Giants. It was better than Mac Jones against the Colts. The mobility, the accuracy down the field, which I give Bailey Zappi a lot of credit for. The conditions sucked.
Yeah.
I was out there before the game, sitting there watching people just get drenched over the course of 3 hours from the press box. Not many people in the 200 level, but a lot of people in the 100 level getting drenched. And I give him credit for the deep balls down the sideline to Devontae Parker that were accurate. The back shoulder throw to Devontae Parker that went for 20-plus yards. Deep over to Parker for 20-plus yards. Tyquan Thornton drops a deep ball. I thought he threw the ball fairly well in the second half when he got into a rhythm. That said, the numbers were horrible. One of the worst pass defenses in football. Yep. It's a low bar. But I thought it was a slight improvement from what we'd seen previously.
I don't think there's anything he did in the game that they, when they go back and look at it on film, like, well, we got to realistically be fair and watch it on film. Yeah, we can't go back to Mac right now.
No, why would you?
Yeah.
No, I didn't think he was that bad. I didn't think he threw up in his shoes in that fashion that you would go back to Mac Jones. Was that anybody's reaction after that game? Go back to him?
I've heard some post-game talk, chatter, and that, yeah. I was walking down underneath. Oh, I think they're going back to Mac on a short week. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah, no, I don't think that at all.
No. What'd you see in the game that led to that?
I just don't know that it's any better. Just because he didn't
no, we all agree
puke all over himself like Mac has done on several occasions. I just don't know that this is any better.
Again, it's an incredibly low bar. What was better to me was the downfield accuracy on some of those throws, the not turning the ball over, and the pocket mobility. I think those are three areas that you could look at and say, yeah, we haven't really seen Mac move around that way. You know, there's a lot of, because of the PTSD that has clearly set in for Mac Jones, you know, Khalil Mack breaks through into the backfield early in this game, basically unblocked. The play's blown up in half a second. Zappi somehow eludes him and gets up the field on first down for 5 yards. So instead of 2nd and 15 after taking a sack, or maybe making a panicked throw that turns into a pick, it's 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
That is worlds better than where they have been at times this season offensively. So I give him some credit for that, and I give him credit for throwing the ball down the field. We all laughed at his average depth of target last week, 2.3 yards last week against the Giants in the second half. It was 11 this week. He threw it down the field, and he gave his guys opportunities to make plays that weren't made. This receiver group is god-awful. We understand that. And he might have had much better numbers had he had a little bit more support. The same's true for Mac Jones. But I give him credit for making some accurate throws and keeping some plays alive that probably wouldn't have been kept alive with Mac Jones. I give him credit. I think it's okay to say that. It's not good. It's not what you would call quote-unquote good. But I think it was an improvement in a couple different areas.
Are the Patriots receivers worse than you even had already thought they were?
That is one takeaway I think you could have from this game is, my God, I guess it wasn't just the quarterback position. Now, I have been somebody who for months has said, going all the way back to training camp, that it's not just the quarterback position. Right. That the protection's not enough, that the receivers are not enough.
The offensive line.
Horrible.
The tackles. Oh, my God.
But you made that change, that variable change from one quarterback to the next, and the results were the same, if not slightly worse.
Yep.
So what's it tell you? I mean, is this the worst off? Pern and I had this conversation briefly last night. We've all seen the numbers by now, right? First team in the Super Bowl era to allow 10 or fewer points 3 consecutive times, lose all 3. First team since the 38 Chicago Cardinals.
And we all remember how bad that team was.
I mean, just could you imagine just the eyesores that offense would produce? Are they that bad? Are they the worst group of offensive personnel that we've seen in 80 years, 90 years?
They're the worst.
Is
the
that
worst
possible?
In Patriot history. They may be the worst offensive Patriot history.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you would think in 2023 you would at least fall into a touchdown.
Right.
It's offense. It's so much easier to play
hard not
offense.
to score a point. It's really hard
Exactly.
to labor for 60 minutes to get out there, move the ball the way they did. Like Bill said, they moved the ball. And you can bitch about field position. They were backed up a lot. Yeah, but they don't even get a field goal.
So are they historically bad personnel-wise?
Well,
Is this the
I've been on
worst
bad
collection of offensive players that anyone in this room, or maybe even Bill Belichick, who's been in the league for 50 years, has ever seen?
Position to by position, if you look at the teams, we had 91, 92, 93, and we were really bad. We would smoke them, and you would take anybody we had in any head-to-head. I'm serious. Would you take Michael Timpson or Greg
I'm not going to fight you on that.
I just looked up the other 2-14 team, not the 92 one, but the 81 Patriots, and their points per game, just to sort of figure out offensively if this is the worst in team history.
Yeah.
They never got shut out, and they had double-digit points in every game except for 2. And they had multiple games with more than 30 points. And they had good players. They had Mosey. They had Tony Collins on that team. Steve Grogan started some of their games that year.
Russ Francis, was he there?
81. Was that one of the years before he came back?
Probably before.
My question now is, do you need an entire overhaul on that side of the ball?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that include Bill O'Brien for you?
Yes, it does now. And I'm a big Bill O'Brien defender until yesterday. That was bad.
I have been too, and I still am teetering, but that's something that I think you start asking now. And I asked Bill Belichick about Bill O'Brien last night. He said we all need to be better. It was not exactly a show of overwhelming support by the head coach. So I'm wondering, if you're Robert Kraft, if you're Jonathan Kraft, you made a commitment to this guy last offseason. You wanted a real offensive coordinator. He was the guy that you favored. Now he's here, and it's looked this bad.
See, there's a lot of people.
Can you go into next year with the same situation?
All right, so we're up against it, but I'll tell you what I think Robert and Jonathan should be talking about today, and it falls under the umbrella of my 2 areas of positivity. 2 areas.
He's feeling really good today about a couple of things.
I am.